So I would like to record this session. Here are some of my colleagues. So it is a festival time here in India. We are all on occasion. Of course, that's the reason maybe some of the teachers are missing the session. But anyhow, all the teachers who wants to ask you some questions, they have already joined. So before I allow my participants to ask you some questions, could you introduce yourself?
Introduce myself, of course. Greetings, salutations, and blessings. I'm Tammy Dunbar. I am a teacher in Manteca, California, which is about 75 miles east of San Francisco. I've been teaching, this is my 21st year in the classroom. I have a master's in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and I love global education. I love reaching out around the world and collaborating with educators. So thank you for allowing me to chat with you today. And I look forward to any future collaborations we may participate in. I have had the great fortune to be a Fulbright scholar and to have taught in India 2 years ago in 2019. I taught in New Delhi and in Calcutta, and absolutely fell in love with India. My husband joined me at the end of my time there, and my daughter for about 9 days. We all want to come back. We fell in love with the people, mostly the people. I mean, the country's beautiful, but the people spiritually fed us so well. And we learned so much from the educators and everybody that we met. So I'm thrilled to be here with you today. I'm happy to share any information I can with you and answer any questions. If I don't know the answer, I promise I will find it out and get back.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tammy. Before I allow my colleagues, my dear colleagues, to take part in this session, so I have a curious question for you. So you have been to India and you experienced the Indian hospitality, and especially the Indian food and Indian people, how well they received you, and so the students that you dealt with. So could you please tell us something about Indian hospitality and the students and the school, and of course, little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. The hospitality was one of the most amazing things. When we first arrived, our guide, who was also an educator in India, took us to his village just out of New Delhi. I believe it was Pakaru. And when we arrived there, chairs were festively decorated for the 12 of us who were in the group, and amazing food laid out for us. And we had fresh goat milk to drink, which was delicious. There was even a giant hookah that we were invited to take part of, which I did not, but several of our members did. But the community was so welcoming. Everyone in the village came to greet us. So I just was blown away immediately by that. And then every school that we visited, it was exciting to me. One of the traditions that meant a lot to me as a visiting educator was not only being welcomed, but at one school I was asked to plant a tree as a symbol. Another school, I think most schools, we took part in a lighting ceremony where, the lamp of knowledge was lit. And there's such special care and attention to that kind of thing. And then the students, oh my stars, the students are so kind and so respectful. I really talked a lot with the teachers I met in what their techniques were to get students to be so kind and so respectful. We have, as you may have heard, we do have challenges here in the United States, but the students of India were just phenomenal. And I realized, talking with the teachers that I worked with in Calcutta, a great portion of it is simply building relationships with the students and understanding each student's needs and what their strengths are, and then using those. And I was blown away by the relationships I saw between teachers and their students. And I think that really was, but that goes along with hospitality. It's just being there, respecting each other, and really caring about each other's success and grooming each student to be the best with whatever gift or skill or talent they have, to groom that to help them be a contributing member to the society. So just fell in love with everything there.
Yeah, thank you so much for falling in love with the Indian hospitality. Okay, my dear colleagues, I think it's your time. You can interact with ma'am. And she has been my friend quite for some time. She has been really phenomenal as you have gone through her biography. So what an achievement. Yeah, please go ahead and ask the questions. So participants, please. So Saujanya ma'am, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Good evening, ma'am.
Tami, actually, we have a wonderful teacher here, Saujanya ma'am, and she has been dealing the primary grades like first grade, second grade, and just like you doing from your side. So, ma'am, would you like to ask any question? Saujanya ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. This is
Good evening.
Yatam Saujanya. Yeah, I'm so glad to meet you. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate you for your greatest achievements in your teaching profession. And I'm so glad to meet you through this session. Yeah, I'd like to know more techniques that you have implemented at your school, so that all of our the teachers can know what are the techniques you have used in your classroom, ma'am.
Techniques
explain.
for, certainly, what
For
techniques?
yeah.
Techniques
Like
for?
especially for writing skills, ma'am. For
Yes, and writing skills are so vital, as we all know. I will tell you, when I visited India,
Yeah.
I actually borrowed one of the things I saw in Calcutta, and it's the most basic of things. And it was student journals, where students wrote in it every day, turned it into me, and I would write back to them. So we had a written conversation rather than, I mean, we still had verbal conversations, but I took that idea back home with me. And I think you would agree, the best way to learn something, to be able to do it, is to practice, practice, practice. So I have instituted that. I teach fifth grade at an online academy. So I never actually see my students in real life. I see them as I'm seeing you. It's always on the computer. And that adds an extra layer to how do I teach students to write when I can't be standing there next to them, encouraging them, prompting them. But there are so many wonderful things that we can use on a computer. And I'll give you one of my favorite examples. I always have students who are very reticent to write. They see a blank page and they panic. And even though they can speak quite articulately, it's a challenge for them to get the words down on paper. And so in the technology world, I'm a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert, have been for 7 years, 8 years, oh my stars. And in Word, Microsoft Word, there is a function where students can dictate. So they can, and I model that for them. I show them how I turn on the dictation, and as I'm telling the story, talking about what I want to say, it types it on the screen as I'm speaking. And in that way, I can show them that good writing uses the author's voice. You have to speak in your voice. And once they get comfortable with, oh, my writing can be like what I hear in my head when I'm thinking, then they get a lot more comfortable writing. We've also been encouraging them to do some research. And there is a new feature in Microsoft Teams that we're test driving right now called Research Buddy or Research Assistant. And what it is within Teams, it allows students a safe environment to do their research. So it will allow a student, say they're doing a paper on climate change. They can type in climate change or oil spills or whatever into this little search engine within Teams. And it will give them not only vetted and verified websites that they can go to, but it also will give them a report when it was last updated, how accurate the information is, what the challenges are with each website. So it's a way to teach them how to discern their research before they use the research. And so I've been teaching them to use those two tools. to go ahead and use the technology, because I think we all know when our students go out into the workforce, this is going to be their world. It's going to be using technology. And so rather than having them play video games like Among Us, why not show them the power of the technology and what it can do to help their writing, to help their research, and to help them be really contributing members to our society. So those are the two things I love to do for writing. And the other thing, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this too, is feedback. Students need to hear feedback from their teacher and sometimes from each other. So I do encourage my students to read out loud their writing. That's probably the biggest thing for them editing what they've written, is to read it out loud. Because when you read it out loud, you hear the mistakes very clearly. As you start to read, you go, oh, and then they'll go back and make the change. So I hope that gives you some insights into what I do in my classroom to encourage writing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
So anybody? Saujanya ma'am, would you like to ask any supplementary question?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'd like to, on behalf of our group members, I'd like to watch Madam's school, I think. So could you please ask her to share her classroom or
Yeah, definitely.
Ideas?
So Tammy, would you like to share your wonderful school and its premises, just for the sake of my colleagues? Is it possible?
You mean to give them? I'm at home right now.
Yeah. So yeah, Saujanya ma'am, actually it may not be possible because she is at home, and probably in future I think
Okay, sir.
you can witness her.
Yeah, we would like to watch actually in future, definitely.
What I can do is, because we are an online academy, I record all of our sessions. So I can download one of those videos because they're in our district servers. And so they're private for other students. And so what I can do is download one and put it on a private YouTube channel, and I can send it to you so that you can watch how it looks online. Would that be a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any more participants, please? Padma ma'am, are you there? Padma Priya ma'am. Padma Priya ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. Good evening, ma'am.
It's good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. It's great to interact with Tammy, right? Mrs. Tammy.
Yes.
And I remember that you are one among the 12, I think, 12 Fulbright participants who are here in India, right?
Yes.
2019.
2019.
Yeah. Jacqueline Thurston and Tina Banks were hosted by me in my school in Hyderabad.
Oh, I love them. Yes. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, they are great. And actually, we thought of hosting you also, but you are allotted to some other school in North, right?
Yeah, I went to Calcutta, but Tina's a wonderful artist, and Jackie is an amazing athlete.
Yeah. They were very, enthusiastic. They interacted with our students. A great exchange of ideas happened in our school. What were your experiences in Calcutta?
Oh my! I was sent to a school in Calcutta, which is Shri Shrikshayathon. It is a all girls private school. A lot of technology. 4,000 students.
Wow.
And the first day we were told, we walked to the school. I think it was maybe a 15-20 minute walk, which was exciting. But we were told by principal mom, you need to be here at 7:30. So we were there at 7:30, and principal mom was amazing, very strict, but amazing. And she said, all right, all the girls are going to be in the court at 8 o'clock, we have, you know, a gathering in the morning. There's prayer, there's song, there's all this. And we want to introduce you. Great. So we get there, and of course, all the young ladies are in uniform, lined up, amazing, phenomenal, 2,000 students. It was the primary, elementary, high school. There's also a college there. And I'm looking over the sea of girls thinking, oh my stars, this is an enormous school. And then Principal Mom, after she introduces us, looks at me because I was the elder teacher and said, please say a few words to the girls. Okay. That was kind of exciting. But my experience there was that these students were so focused on their education. What I was really impressed, because it was an all girls school, they were so focused on not boyfriends or anything else. They were focused on empowering each other and cheering on each other. I did not see bullying. I did not see discouragement. I saw people being a little hard on each other, but in a good way to push them toward what they do. You know, when there's a challenge they were trying to solve. There was a science class we were at that I was teaching, and there was one student who was having a challenge measuring something with a certain device, and her friends were a little bit, they were encouraging, but they were like, come on. And she did it. She was amazing. Just to see that kind of support really impressed me. I also was very impressed with the quality of the teachers at the school. It impressed me that not only did each educator know their subject well, but they also understood where their subject fit into in the big picture of education. From the music teacher to the science teacher to the PE teacher, they all understood that these were all parts that were necessary to create that whole student. And they really saw themselves as part of a team. I loved seeing educators who, in America, we often have, I don't know if you're familiar with the term cliques, where certain teachers stay over here and they don't interact with other teachers, and the primary teachers and the high school teachers, and they don't talk. I did not see that in Calcutta. In Calcutta, what I saw is what I envision: a team of educators who know their students and talk to each other about the students so that we can figure out how do we bring out the best in the student. Even the students who needed additional support, the ones who were in a class, not special ed, but a class for intervention, for reading, even those students were made to feel special and wonderful, not quite like my experience here. And so I was just very impressed with the commitment of the teachers, the focus on the students, and the leadership was amazing. Principal amazing in New Delhi. The principals I met there were just, they understood. And when they had put teachers in place who had those talents, they let them work. They didn't micromanage, as we would say here. They didn't interfere. When they saw a teacher that was capable and doing their work, they let them do their work, which is a great leader in my opinion. So I was just amazed by everything I saw and inspired, to be honest. I have taken a lot of techniques back. And I think you'll laugh at this last thing, or not laugh, you'll probably be happy. At the end of every day in Calcutta at Shri Shikshaitan, they would play music over the PA system 10 minutes before school was over. And the first 5 minutes of music was just a musical reminder that it was time to clean up. So the girls would pack up their backpacks and clean off their desks and put their equipment away. The last 5 minutes were meditation and were inward focus, allowing the students to kind of think through their day, successes, and just kind of relax, and then ended with the national anthem, the singing of the national anthem. And that moved me so much to see that, because I could see how it centered the girls. I could see how it brought them together as community and helped them transition back out. So I have actually added at the end of, even online, at the end of my sessions, we have a meditation at the end, and we do include patriotic music. And so I thank you for that inspiration, because that was not something that I had included in my class, but it is something my students look forward to, and it's meaningful for them. So Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Great. Great. The school and the team. Actually, in India, this happens. We all sit in a staff room. We discuss about the child, the problems of the children, not just in academics, but also their economic background, family background, and their hardships. We'll try to understand. We'll discuss with each other in the staff room. Get a chance, of course. As we sit together, we get a chance to talk about a child with other teachers. And that's how these all things are happening. Thank you. And I'm very glad that you like the way here the education is being imparted and the values have been taught to the students. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
Wish to and wish to host you someday in our school.
I would love to come.
Yeah. And one more thing. So as you're saying, can we collaborate for STEM sessions with our students? Right now, I'm in a high school teaching math to high school grade students.
Yeah, we can.
Possible?
Yeah, we absolutely. We are collaborating right now with a high school class in the state of Washington. A friend of mine teaches there, and her students are teaching my students how to code online. So we can, but there are all kinds of things we can do. We can, do a climate change thing together. We can do a Kahoot. We can talk together on a Flipgrid. There's so many different things that we can do. So if you don't have my email, it's tdunbar@MUSD. What, you want me just to put it in the chat? I can put it in the chat.
Tammy, I can share. Padma ma'am actually is also a friend of mine, so I can share your email, no problem.
Okay, perfect. I'm also putting it in chat just because I can, because Zoom is awesome.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more participants, please? Any more questions?
Oh, I actually did one with Tina. Tina and I did a collaboration last year on, this might be good for your students. It was neurographic art. Oh, send me an email. We'll talk about it. I think your students might like it.
Yeah. So, any more questions, please? Gangara, sir. So, Tammy, I have a question for you. You have been dealing, I think, at the primary graders, especially you have been dealing 5th grade, I think. So, how difficult it is to deal with 5th graders that too you are supposed to teach almost all the subjects as a teacher. So, as a teacher working at the high school, I think I am responsible only for my subject, the subject that I have to deal. But being a primary school teacher, I think you are expected to teach almost all the subjects. So how difficult you think, and do you love teaching all the subjects? And what are the practical issues that you face being a primary school teacher? So could you please tell us something
about being a primary school teacher?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the primary teachers here understand because I believe it looks the same even in India, and that is we are constantly juggling all the subjects. And I think the struggle, or the challenge, I should say, for an elementary teacher is how do I combine those subjects so I'm not spending the day, here's language arts, here's math, here's science, here's history. We struggle, we look for ways to intertwine so that I can cover writing when I'm doing social studies and math when I'm doing science. And so everything weaves together because that way we can hit a concept more than one time throughout the day, spiral back on what they know and build on that knowledge. Otherwise, when you go that fast through separate subjects, it makes it very, very challenging. So we're always trying to weave our subjects together, which our curriculum makes it challenging to do in the United States because each publisher has their own curriculum and they're not really together. So as teaching professionals, we sit down, and this is something our schools do give us time to do as educators, is to sit together and collaborate on how can we enhance the curriculum and how do we look at the data from each student from the testing and determine what each one needs. So that's probably my biggest challenge. Although I have found, as I know you have in India, I don't talk down to the students, and I mean, I do interventions, but the students who are low, I'm still using high vocabulary words and I'm still pushing them to be up here. I expect them all to give their best effort. And I think in my expectations, as in your expectations, even as elementary teachers, they'll rise to it. I think it becomes more of a challenge when they become high schoolers, maybe in America and not so much in India. But in America, after they go through puberty, they become headstrong. No is a big word, right? So it's getting them on board and buying in. And again, it's building relationships. In high school, I think it might be, I always feel it's easier in high school to build the relationships, but it might not be. In elementary, it's really getting to know each student. And as you mentioned earlier, getting to know their families. When you understand their backgrounds and what they're coming to you from, it makes sense sometimes what they're going through. We say here in America, when we have conference week and the parents come in for conference time, we say during that week, oh, I met the parents. I understand the student now. And it makes a big difference when you meet the parents. So I think that's another thing that I've learned, not just as an elementary teacher, but as an online teacher, which should carry over, is that the relationship with the families are just as important. And having the families be comfortable that I'm doing my best and I have their students' best interests at heart. And if they want their student to succeed, they need to be on board with what we're doing at the school and support it at the home, just as I support what they do at home. If they're saying, oh, you need to do your homework before you get to play video games. Yes, yes, please.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine triangle of student, teacher, parent to make everything work. But that's the challenge in America with elementary, at least for me.
Yeah, thank you. Mangarani ma'am, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, please, ma'am. Please go ahead and ask the question.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. This is Mangarani. I am also a primary school teacher. Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Nice to meet you.
Ma'am, can you suggest some icebreaker activities for primary kids?
Icebreakers for primary kids. Yes. One of my favorite ones when I was still in as we call it, a brick and mortar school, because I'm online now. But one of my favorite icebreakers was to stand my students in a circle. And I would have a very soft ball.
Okay.
And they had to be silent. And the first student would point and throw it to another student. Once you caught the ball, you had to put your hands behind your back after you threw it. So the next student would know who had already caught the ball and who hadn't. So as they were throwing it, you throw it, you put your hands behind. You catch it, you throw it, put your hands behind your back. So and you had to remember who threw it to you and who did you throw it to. Once everyone had caught the ball, then you did it again, remembering who was going to throw it to you and who you were going to throw it to. And you tried to do it faster and faster and faster, which made you work as a team. My students always love doing that as an icebreaker. However, with technology, one of the big icebreakers that I have really enjoyed, and I don't know if you've used Flipgrid before. Have you used Flipgrid?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So my favorite for Flipgrid is show us your favorite thing where you live. And kids love to show you their Lego collection or their bicycle or their pet. And I had every single student participate in this and, record their favorite thing at their home. And then we had a showcase of it where we watched them all. And they loved it. And you got to know something about each person in the classroom. And of course, on Flipgrid, it's got their name on there as well. So you get to know the names. I think that's been the most popular. Last year when I did it, I had 40 students, but the videos had over 1,500 views. because kids just kept going back and rewatching, enjoying learning about each other. And then in my online community, allowing them to collaborate together and setting it up so that they can makes a great deal of difference. One other thing, and I don't know if you have this in India, I don't know if that's something at your school, but we have Minecraft. And so I use Minecraft. You're familiar with Minecraft, yes? So our district actually pays for a subscription for each student. And so I have the students build their dream school in Minecraft in teams. Mm-hmm. And so they learn collaboration, they learn communication, they learn respect because you don't knock down somebody else's work. And that's also a very exciting thing for them to do. So there are digital ways and there are in-person ways. Does that help, I hope?
Thank you, ma'am. Very interesting activities. They are using Flipgrid, but I'm not using Minecraft. I will explore that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We used Legos one year. I had a grant. You're familiar with Legos, yes? So I had a grant where I had a big bag of Legos and I gave each student, I think it was 10 Legos. It was very minimal, 10 Legos. And then they had to build something that was from their childhood. And they only had 10 pieces. So they had to be creative. And then in their groups, they had to talk about what it was. And, oh yeah, I can see it now. So little challenges like that they shared with each other. So that might be something that you could do as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Any questions from our participants? So only, I think hardly we have 3 minutes time is left. If you have any questions, I can extend this session. Otherwise, I have to wind this session up. Any more questions, please?
It's getting late there. They're probably tired.
Yeah. So,
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Could you suggest some applications for creations, audio or visual creations for making the lesson interesting to the students, as you are a Microsoft expert and you are dealing online to the students? So could you suggest some apps for the audio visual creations for lessons improvement?
I can. There's one. Matter of fact, I will probably put these in chat since that will probably be easier. And one of the ones that I use in my class is called Bunsy. And Bunsy is an app that allows students to make not interactive. You can make posters that have GIFs and video, and they kind of come alive. My students love using Bunsy. They also, of course, love Flipgrid. That's one of their big favorites for creating. Another one that they like using is Canva. I'm getting the websites here for you and putting them in chat so that you can check them out yourself. There's Canva. And Canva is a way for students to create. It's got pre-designed templates, which is kind of nice. You can get it for, oh, let me click there. You can get it for free. Teacher's favorite word, free, I think. And that's another great website. The one that my students really like, and I don't know if you've ever gone to it, is Make Code. It's a Microsoft website, but it allows students to learn coding. And right now, there we go. And right now my students are, I was mentioning they're doing a project with a teacher in Washington State with her high schoolers, and they're using the arcade in there to create arcade games. You can do it right there online. You don't need any outside equipment. It's all there and it's free. There are lessons, there are tutorials, and Make Code is a really great STEM website for students to go to. Another one that we've been using is Wakelet. I don't know if you've used Wakelet before, but Wakelet allows you to curate all of your resources, and it's also free, by the way. All of these are free. Wakelet allows you to curate videos, photographs, Word documents. So I put together a student handbook in Wakelet. So it has everything in there that they need. Students can put together, we did a yearbook last year online using Wakelet. So that's been very creative. And of course, Flipgrid. Everybody loves
Tammy,
Flipgrid.
Tammy, sorry to
And
interrupt you.
last,
Tammy, sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt. Actually, no time is left. I think time is almost up. So,
Okay.
participants, do you have any questions so that I can prolong the session? I mean, I can ask our guest teacher to reconnect again if you have any questions. So I would like to share the so-called apps to our platform, to our individual platform. So if you share us, thank you so much for sparing your valuable time, Tammy. On behalf of my team, I'm so thankful to you.
I am thankful.